what we have seen is that industrial production has slowed down to 3.1%, which is much lower than the expected 4.5%. And that has to do with the factors that you mentioned earlier, that there's this global factor of rising raw material costs, from iron core to copper to steel, and now adding to that list lithium. So that rising raw material cost, and then on top of the logistic disruptions, right? We're still facing the semiconductor chips shortage, and also the port closures and all the global supply, sort of the shipment delays. And then on top of that, there's the Chinese unique factor, which is the power outage and energy crunch, and that partly due to China's commitment to cut carbon emission, and partly due to the rising coal price this year so far, 30% increase, and that clashing with the administered electricity price. So all of these generated the perfect storm, right, to drag down on the industrial production growth. And then on the fixed asset investment side, that also slowed down and expanded only by 7.3% in the first 9 months, which is lower than expected, 7.9%. And that had a lot to do with regulatory crackdown on the real estate sector. And many of the economists have pointed out that the real estate sector contributed to at least 25 to 30% of the GDP. So the crackdown on real estate expansion would definitely weigh on the asset investments. That said, I wanted to share two bright spots. One is that we have seen service sector and retail sales grew this year so far, and it's much higher than expected. So we have seen the retail sales grow by 4.4% in this September, and that is up from the 2.5% growth back in August. We also see pretty healthy job numbers. The unemployment rate has fallen from 5.1% back in August to 4.9%. So overall, I think I share some optimism, and I think some of these obstacles should be able to relieve later on.